everyone. It's about 4 past the hour, so we'll get going here. Hi, my name is Allison Groves, and I have the privilege of taking care of our community here at Zapier. And today we are especially excited to get to talk about all things Gumroad. And I'm joined by Jessica from the Gumroad team today. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hello. Good.
This is, and I've been nerding out with Jessica every time we talk about this. This is a passion thing for me. I actually have many years ago graduated from college with a music business degree, and one thing that I know is severely lacking in the music industry and the publishing industry and everything like that is a really solid way for makers and creators and artists to sell their own products and own everything that they do. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm really glad to get a chance to share stuff about Gumroad today with Gumroad, all those things, and learn more about Gumroad myself because I think that it's so powerful. And so I'm really glad. So thanks for joining us today. Jessica, why don't you, if you don't mind, maybe give us a little overview of Gumroad for those who might be joining us today who might not be terribly familiar or maybe looking for a different way to kind of sell and do things with their art and their creations and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So Gumroad we aim to be the easiest way to sell your stuff directly to your audience. So whether you're selling books, music, film, software, physical goods, pretty much anything that you could dream up, we make it really easy for you to sell that. And so one of the big tenets, as you mentioned, was kind of owning the creative process and also owning your audiences. So something that we've noticed is happening is creators are really working hard to build up their own audiences on social media, over an email list, wherever that may be. And then what happens when they sell on traditional platforms is that those customers, they don't get all the information about those customers that they've worked to build this relationship with. So they don't necessarily know their email addresses or how to contact them and how to continue a sustainable relationship down the line. And so what Gumroad does is gives you all the information about your customer data, analytics that you would like to know about who they are, and the ability to contact them. And that's going to be a big part about what we talk about today is how to then set up some of these things with email so that you can continue to sustain that relationship down the line with these people that are supporting you.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's most important to creators and makers and however else, whatever else you probably call yourself, I think is keeping that ball rolling once you make that sale. That's so important. As someone who I've actually done community building in the music industry way back in my early youth, and it's such a huge part of who an artist is. Their fans, their supporters, anything like that. So anything that we can do to help bridge that gap between those sales that you're making in Gumroad, which is so great that you're able to, keep all of that control for yourself. But there's so many other things to think about too, continually contacting and being in touch with those people, cataloging who those people are and keeping track of that. So I'm really excited that we get to kind of walk through a couple of those things today. So what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to show my screen. And Jessica and I are going to talk through 3 really sort of huge use cases that we see people using with Gumroad. We know will be really helpful. And one thing I want to mention before I move on, especially because we have a special guest in the chat room today, my teammate Lindsay, who actually lives in Barcelona and has stayed around a little later, her time to hang out with us today. If you scroll down the page you're on just a little bit, there's a chat box underneath this video, and you can ask Lindsay any question you might want while we're talking. So Jessica and I will kind of go through a few things, and if something pops in your head, you want to ask a question, just pop it in the chat room, and Lindsay will help you help get everything sorted out. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll kind of kick into things. There we go. All right. So the first thing that I would love to talk about, and I know that, and given all of the submissions we have when people register for the session today, I think about at least 75% of it was people curious about connecting their email lists to Gumroad. And I know, Jessica, I'm sure you guys see this all the time, and I'd love to hear about ways that you're seeing your users kind of bridge that gap between when they make that sale and doing things with email.
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of really cool use cases with email. As we just said, building this long-term relationship, I think, is one of those key things. So, after you make a sale, really, a lot of people are working hard to not just let that be the end of the relationship. They're working hard to, they'll put people on a monthly or maybe even a weekly newsletter, and stay in touch, not with promotional stuff, but with things that are really valuable to their audience, or, really entertaining, or whatever the case may be. And so continuing that relationship so that when they do come out with something else for sale, the next album or the next book, it's not a like, hey, buy my thing again, and that's the only time you ever hear from these, from you as the creator. So that is a really, really common use case. We're also seeing sort of for the more like savvy sellers, they're definitely using an email drip sequence to deliver upsells if they have other products for sale. So let's say I had a book about the basics of playing the ukulele, and someone bought that, but potentially I also had some higher priced products like a video tutorial on how to do that, or maybe even a workshop with a small group where they get a lot of individual attention for a higher price. You can get people into your sales funnel, put them into the email program of your choice, whether that's Aweber or MailChimp, and then stay in touch with them and let them know that you have other higher priced products for sale, rather than bombarding them, all at the get as soon as they find out about you with everything that you have. So it's kind of this idea of building trust, getting people to be familiar with your work, and then if they're interested, they can they can kind of level up if they'd like. At the other end of that, we also see people using Gumroad quite a bit for delivering a free product and just sort of getting people into their onto their newsletter, or into a drip sequence. So there was one person in particular that told me he's got over 2,000 subscribers just from offering a free cheat sheet of 2-word Scrabble words for Scrabble.
That's awesome.
And yeah, you just download it for free from his site, and then he uses Zapier to just send all those people directly into his MailChimp list. And and then he starts, sending them whatever his regular weekly newsletter is. But I think that this is really cool. MailChimp allows you the ability to send a free download when you sign up. But what it doesn't offer is the same media control as Gumroad has. So if you wanted to offer a free video or a free song that has really great, we could stream videos right inside your player. You can also stream sounds. And so, or say you're doing like, a video tutorial, you're getting creative with sort of the free bonuses that you're offering to your new leads. You can do that really easily with Gumroad and then get people onto your list, and it's a great experience for them.
Yeah, I think the thing that really resonates with me as someone who loves this sort of thing so much is, and especially the community building aspects that are possible with something like this, using Gumroad, these people are already invested in who you are, what you produce, etc. It's not a, I'm sure they're not taking it lightly. This is something that they're passionate about. They love what you're doing, and so this is such an easy and great way to continually engage them. They're not doing this. This is not an empty sort of buying a CD at Target gesture. I think I probably just dated myself by saying that, but. I should say buying a cassette tape. Yeah, this is a true one-to-one interaction with a supporter, and so any way that you can easily gather that information and engage with them further is really going to help you reap benefits. So when we look at this as it relates to Zapier, we, to us, in how this works, it's really this one. I know that I just used the analogy of one-to-one connection with you and your fan, but that's actually how Zapier works too. So it's a one-to-one connection between two different apps that you use. So here we're looking at MailChimp, and we're saying anytime you have a new sale, on Gumroad, we're going to automatically add that person as a subscriber to MailChimp. And that's basically all it is on the surface, right? So if we look at this a little bit deeper, I can scroll down, and this is, I should take a step back here. This is what we call a zap. So this is taking that one thing and then creating something else with it. So this is all the automations that you would set up with Zapier would be just like this. Say when one thing happens, we're going to do something else. And if I scroll past the account connectors here, which is a very simple thing to do, and if you go through this process, it'll just take you a couple seconds to connect your Gumroad account to Zapier and your MailChimp or your other email marketing platform. I get some really cool options here. So depending on what you're selling or what you're doing, you can actually really segment out what lists and campaigns. I know that every email marketing platform has some different wording for it, but you can really segment out what you're doing and get the right people into the right list. At its core, you don't have to filter on a product here at all. You can say, anytime I sell anything on Gumroad, I want that person to go onto my MailChimp mailing list. Or you can segment it out like we have here. When I looked into our Gumroad test account that we have at Zapier, someone had created a product for free hugs. So I'm sure our developers were having a little bit of fun that day. So if I can say, I can't say this without with a straight face. So I will just say we have this set up to anytime anyone buys a free hug from us, which I did. I bought many sample free hugs today. We can then send that person to a specific MailChimp list. And you can set up as many of these as you'd like. Again, you can start by doing all products onto your just general mailing list, or you can do what we're looking at here and saying, I got one product, one specific product. When someone buys that specific product, they're going to go into this specific list. And really all this is saying, I got the product, I got the list, I'm going to click on insert fields here, which is going to grab all of their data or all of your data from Gumroad. I find their email address, and then I click on that there. And then that is literally all you have to do. So now we're saying anytime anyone buys a specific product, they're going to go onto this specific MailChimp list. Their email address is there. You even have a couple of options further if you want to take it even deeper than that. If you want to set them up on any sort of like welcome email, or I'm sure that MailChimp has an autoresponder system that kind of works along with that. You can do that there. You can even put them in a group. So maybe you've got specific groups within that list. You can do that as well. So the sky is really the limit here when it comes to getting your customers, your fans, whatever that might be, into either your sort of general all mailing list with MailChimp, or really segmented out, which I know can be helpful for a lot of people if you're selling different products with totally different message, or like Jessica said, when if you were trying to upsell certain things, anything like that, you can do that with this particular automation. And I know that we focused on MailChimp, and I also saw a lot of folks in your registrations talking about Aweber, and you can totally do that too. We were just using MailChimp as an example. We have a ton of different email marketing platforms you can use. So if you use ActiveCampaign, we've got Aweber here. Campaign Monitor is really popular. Constant Contact. Keep scrolling. We'll have Emma and Mad Mimi and Drip if you're wanting to set up constant drip campaigns to your buyers. So tons and tons of options here. Don't think that you're limited to just MailChimp or Aweber. Whatever you use, we probably integrate with that. And so that kind of takes us to, okay, so we've got our purchasers, our buyers into our email marketing platform, which is really, really huge. Now maybe we want to actually catalog them. So I would love to hear anything that you guys have seen at Gumroad, Jessica, about ways that people are kind of using spreadsheets and the like to archive or catalog purchases, sales, etc.
Yeah, so this is something that I think we're going to start seeing people use a lot more, and something that I want to encourage people to think about using is, and especially if they have a team of people that they're working with, so someone that maybe handles the finances or accounting, or someone that they just want to share some more information with, but don't necessarily want to give that person full access to their Gumroad account, because it's got maybe they just don't want them to be able to create products and do whatever. And so Google Sheets is a great way to start sharing your buyer information with someone. So that could be someone on your team. It could also be sort of if you have a pseudo affiliate type relationship with someone. So say someone was going to help you promote a product, and you wanted to share exactly how many sales were being made with them, and what the URLs for those sales were. But again, you don't want to give them direct access to your Gumroad account. So I think this could be a really great way to get around that. I think this is just basically taking your Gumroad sales and populating them into a shared spreadsheet, and then from there you can manipulate the data however you like, but it just sort of builds that trust with the other people that you're working with.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. There's so much sensitive data around, whether it's payment information or there could be things that you just don't want other people to see. And I see this a lot with a lot of different apps. Like, you know what, I can control the information that's in a Google spreadsheet, and I want people to have certain, either my team or other people that I need to share data with, and I can really kind of control the Google Sheets environment. So this is a really, really easy way to do that. I use a similar Zap. I probably have 50 of these set up, sending certain information into Google Sheets because it's just so easy to do and you just never have to think about it. So if you find, like Jessica said, if you find yourself needing to share information, or even if you just need some sort of catalog that you want to keep outside of Gumroad, maybe an archive or anything like that, this is a really simple way to do that. The main thing to think about here is you actually need to set up a spreadsheet before you start creating this particular automation. And I'll show you why here in a second. But so I've got a sample spreadsheet set up, and it needs two things. One, it needs a header row. This is the information that I want to collect from Gumroad. So I want the email address, the product name, what they paid for, and the order number. So those are that's the information that I want to get from these Gumroad sales. And then the second row here is just sample data. So a sample email address, sample product name, sample, et cetera, et cetera. So that actually needs to be set up before you set up the automation, and it's actually really handy to do that because it kind of gets you thinking, okay, what information do I want to grab from Gumroad to hang on to? So once that's done, it's very simple, right? It's the exact same setup we just looked at. We're saying anytime I get a new sale, instead of sending that information to MailChimp, I want to create a spreadsheet row in the spreadsheet, which we just looked at. And once again, you can trigger off of just one product, or you can see here, I left that empty. So now it's going to trigger on all of my products. So anytime I sell anything, it's going to send it to that spreadsheet. Or again, if you want to do just one, you can do that as well. And then you'll see here in step 5 of the automation, I've picked the spreadsheet that I set up, and I've picked the worksheet that it's on. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with Google Sheets, but really when you set up a spreadsheet, you just have like sheet 1, so it's just one spreadsheet. Sometimes you might have more than one worksheet on a spreadsheet, which is kind of confusing wording, but 9 times out of 10, you'll just pick sheet 1 here. And then you'll see I have email address, I have product name, order number, and you'll notice that these are actually the columns that I set up in my spreadsheet. So now I can just match up the column to the data from Gumroad. So if I click on Insert Fields here, I can go through and I can find the product name there. I can find the order number, just like that. I can even find the purchase price if that's something that I want to catalog. And now anytime anyone buys anything from me, those 4 pieces of information are going to go into that spreadsheet. Maybe you just want the email address and the product name, totally fine. It's completely up to you what you set your spreadsheet up for and how much information you want to go over to it. But it's as simple as that. And once that's done, again, anytime anyone purchases anything, we will see that there in the spreadsheet. Google Sheets is really is probably the most important thing that we're going to have in the spreadsheet world. We also have an integration with Smartsheet. If you want to get really crazy, you can use databases like MySQL. I imagine that Google Sheets is probably going to be the most The most used app here. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied about that. The last thing that I want to show off is, or talk about, and then we'll show it off, I think actually holds a lot of power, and that's kind of harnessing sales that you're making and giving it the one extra step and personalizing just a really quick email to that person. And I imagine that, Jessica, you guys might not see a lot of people doing this, but I bet that there will become more and more demand for it as we move on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I can think of one really great example. We did a case study on this guy named James Gurney who has sold these art tutorials, and he made a point of sending personal emails to customers that bought his higher priced products. And so he didn't do it for everybody. He sort of segmented it out so that his time was, he was guarding his time a little bit more. But he really saw a positive response from that. And I would definitely encourage people to consider adding that extra personal touch and giving people your direct contact information if they have questions about your product, or I'm sure they'll feel really valued if you have other things that come out down the line. So yeah, that's a really great way to use the Gmail integration. On a kind of different take on that as well is if you wanted to potentially use Gmail to send notifications of sales to other people on your team. So I know a lot of people that work with people that help them with customer service, and again, they might not have, they might not be know on a daily basis how many sales are actually happening. And so if they want to keep an eye on how many sales they're getting that day, they can get these notifications. So, but I think the most valuable thing here is definitely providing that personal touch.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting to hear about the more like higher priced products you might have. That's a really, really great time to send something. And this will look like it is coming from your personal Gmail account. I actually use a similar integration myself very, very frequently, actually, connecting a Google spreadsheet to my Gmail account. When I'm reaching out to people to kind of like start conversations about how they use Zapier. And so this is really, really similar. So it's basically saying, anytime I get a new sale, I want you to send an email from my Gmail account. And like I said, it will look like it is coming from your Gmail account. I mean, in essence, it is coming from your Gmail account. So you can control everything. And this is, a lot of people might think it's a little too similar to, say, the email marketing stuff that we showed off earlier, but to me, it's really different. That is to kind of capture their information and keep them in, your ongoing messaging, whatever that might be, updates about you, your products, whatever. This is more of the personal touch and just a thank you or a I'm here or something like that. When things look like, or when I should say again, when they are coming from you and not some sort of system, I think that goes a long way to showing the buyer, the fan, whatever that might be, that you truly do care about them. You value you value them being a part of what you have going on, and it's a really, really great thing to do. So just like all the other automations we've been working with here, we're basically saying anytime we get a new sale, we're going to send an email via Gmail. And again, same thing with all the other ones we were looking at here. You can do one product, you can do all your products. It's totally up to you. And you can set up, as many of these apps as you need. If you say, well, I've got 3 products, okay, well then you can set up 3 different zaps and select that product, do something different with them for any of these that we looked at, for the email marketing, for the spreadsheet, whatever that might be. And then in step 5 of the automation, it just takes a couple of steps here, and you'll never have to worry about this. So we're basically saying we'll click on insert fields here. We've got that person's email address. So that is the buyer. And when I scroll down a little bit here, I can put a subject. So I just said, thanks for your purchase. And you can even customize this a little bit. And again, this is what I personally do when I use this particular automation. So they know that it doesn't necessarily look like it's a form email coming from your email address. It's got information here that personalizes it to what they purchased. So I just write a little email, and then right here where it says product name, I can automatically fill in what product it was that they bought. So again, it gives it that even more personal touch than you could say, well, anyone can send an email from Gmail. Well, but this is going to automatically populate that with what they purchased. And you can add anything that you see here that would be relevant. Maybe if you wanted to pop a link to the product in there, whatever that might be, but it just gives that extra personal touch to say, thank you, I'm so happy that you bought this, I hope you enjoy this, whatever that might be. And they will, when they reply to it, they will be replying, it'll come into your Gmail inbox, and you can interact with them just like you would anyone else who is emailing you. And the notifications aspect of it, I think, is really interesting too. And something else that we could do besides Gmail, as far as the Zapier side goes, we could do Gumroad sales to text messages. That, I bet that might be kind of popular. If you want to get notified anytime you have a new sale, you could do text message, email, whatever that might be. There's multiple different ways you can get notified on things. And Jessica, one other thing that we actually didn't talk about when last week when we connected to kind of talk through things here, someone actually left a pretty interesting message in their registration, and was wondering about CRMs. And I think this is actually a pretty interesting use case too. Any CRM that you use, if you wanted to get your buyer into that, you could very easily do that. So I believe that the person that left the note was using Insightly, but any sort of CRM that you use, and we have many of them connected to Zapier, you could just easily create a contact record for that person in your CRM, which, you might have a little bit more of a traditional business where you are keeping contact records of your customers and things like that. So that would also be a really, really great way to use Gumroad to create that, and you can continually keep up with your customers. Okay, that kind of does it for us. Whoa, that's giant. This is my contact information. So my personal email address, my Twitter handle, contact@zapier.com actually goes to our entire team. So if you have any questions anytime, you can reach out to either one of those addresses there. We'd be more than happy to help you get set up. Maybe just help with a couple of different use cases, whatever that might be. Please don't hesitate to reach out anytime. We'd be more than happy to chat. Jessica, how can folks get in touch with you guys?
They can email us at support@gumroad.com, or also feel free to email me directly at jessica@gumroad.com.
Oh, I was talking so much. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. It's really fun to kind of think through some of these use cases and best ways that we can get people more engaged with you and your products, whether that's your music, your films, your books, whatever that might be. It's really, really fun to dig into. Like I said, if you need us anytime, we're more than happy to help. I know that Jessica is the same. If you scroll down the page you're on a little bit beyond the chat room, all of these apps we talked about today are actually set up. You can use them right this second. We wanted you to be able to use them very, very easily, so you can just go ahead and get going there if there's anything that you would want to. So thank you so much, Jessica, for doing this with us today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. And we will be in touch soon. Bye-bye.